Hello, everybody. It's Nick and Martin here from OK Students. It's Friday and we are live across various channels. Martin, which channels are we live on?
The regular Facebook and YouTube. So, yeah, back again.
Here we are again, and it's been a big week.
Yeah, a lot of news, especially about the most popular topic, COVID-19, coronavirus.
Sorry, is there anything else in the world? Yeah, that's all we talk about. But yes, there's been a lot of news related to how COVID might affect universities reopening in the autumn, and the Office for Students in the UK, which is kind of the government body, told the universities that they need to make it clear to the students what the next year of learning will look like in terms of the mode of study. So, the way they'll study through either classroom teaching, lectures, or online technology.
So, will the universities be open in September?
Yes, well, we hope so, but yes being the intention. So this needs to be clear from the start. All of the universities are planning to be open in the autumn. Okay. Some of them have moved their start date back by either 2 weeks or even 3 or 4 weeks. So some of them have put in October start dates, but many of them are sticking to September dates, usually the last week of September. So yes, they're absolutely planning to have students, current students, and also new students on campus in the autumn, and they're looking at how to do that safely. So yes, don't misunderstand. The universities are planning to open in the autumn.
So usually in the UK, the first term generally starts, I would say, last week of September.
Yes, so they're usually staggered through the month of September and sometimes the first week of October. It's a bit like football matches. You can't have them all on the same weekend because then every city and every motorway is gridlocked with students moving away from home and to university.
Oh, that's true. I actually hadn't even thought about that. That's interesting. Yeah, thing.
Yeah. It's because I always obviously know when the big universities are opening, I basically avoid any travel on the motorway on those times because it's going to take hours longer than it should do. So yeah, the poor people who aren't in this industry get stuck in a traffic jam.
So now we know that, I mean, universities are planning opening in the autumn within the current situation. I mean, obviously everything can change again. Who knows? So on the news, I think it was 3-4 days when there was the major news that kind of Cambridge is moving everything online.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not true, is it?
Yeah, this was so misunderstood. I think it was reported correctly, but probably earlier than Cambridge wanted it. But people just saw the headline that the lectures would be online and completely misconstrued it. So Cambridge announced that they were moving all lectures online for the whole academic year. So this kind of headline went everywhere, and it's big news. Obviously, a global reputation, and people looking at the example they set. But they also made clear in the statement they gave that they were intending to hold workshops and labs and seminars, so kind of smaller teaching groups in person, but under safe conditions. So they were looking at the way of opening up campus to do that, but not having larger groups together in lectures. So yeah, this was kind of really misunderstood, and I think it's really important to clarify that.
And I think, I mean, we both obviously saw, as we are quite in the information network, quite well connected. Like even for me, I think that the first couple of news, I don't remember which was the first journal or website to put the information out, but it was actually relatively easy to misunderstand. I don't know whether it was just like not super clearly written, but like in the beginning, I thought like as well that everything will be online, and freaked out a bit.
Yeah, I think the news outlets were playing on that, so they wanted to see a reaction. It was big news, and it made it look like everything was going to be online, which isn't the case. We actually have Cambridge applicants, and Cambridge released an official statement to the applicants the next day. So there clearly was a kind of disconnect between what the press said earlier and then what Cambridge actually put out themselves to their own applicants. But it made it clear that, yeah, they are planning to open, but they see lectures as being one of the kind of big risks for the on-campus experience in a COVID-19 world. And you can imagine that. I mean, lots of lecture theatres are in excess of 100 people, but some universities, they're 300 people, 400 people sometimes. So, you know, to try and keep 2 meters apart, which is the kind of distancing in the UK, is impossible, really. And I mean, these lectures have been generally posted online now, broadcast online, for a number of years, probably up to 5 years now in most major universities.
Yeah, and just to be clear that like the lectures are, I would say definitely less than 50% of the whole experience, because there is also, like, as you mentioned, like seminars, which are usually like 10, 15 people in a smaller group. So the lectures actually aren't even the major part of the whole. I'm now not talking about the whole university experience, but just the teaching experience, because there are so many other elements in the teaching experience than just the lectures.
Yeah, it's probably worth saying, in case we have people watching who are at high school still, that a lecture theatre is kind of the classic, iconic part of the university experience, a kind of cinema seating, tiered seating, where you listen to a lecturer and take notes, and they present on a theme or a topic. And really, it's kind of a one-way interaction. There isn't too much kind of asking of questions, because there are a big group of students in the room, and really you focus on the presentation in the time set, and then you go away and do wider reading and research around that topic. And this is kind of the model that's been used for 100 years, the university lecture.
And I mean, basing on my own experience and knowledge on universities, then yeah, I would say like a general university student would have, I reckon, 4 to 5 lectures per week. So it's not like a massive amount of like hours and lectures in a week that will be like moved now. It's the matter of like a couple of lectures.
Yeah, and it was clearly designed to impart information to a whole group of students at the same time, and that was the purpose. But the world has moved on, but the universities have still stuck to that type of teaching method. And even with within university circles, I think they were seeing kind of poor attendance for lectures and quite a lot of dissatisfaction about lectures, and have sought to bring them online themselves. One, because it's quite difficult to take notes whilst listening to a lecture. So it means that by having a recording of the lecture, you can kind of revisit the topic. But also, if there are other issues, sickness and things like that, where there's absence from lectures, that you're able to access that information. So more and more, they've been brought online alongside the actual live lecture.
Yeah, it's a really good point that it's quite tough to make notes when you're listening to someone. And in a lecture hall, you can't really pause the lecturer either, can you?
Well, yeah, you just can't. And if you get stuck, or you miss something, it kind of goes on from there. And also, there's the classic things of people are tired. Sometimes if it's an early morning lecture, people are tired, or they miss it because of transport or whatever, or hangovers, and they're not really in the right space for learning at that point, and so that can really kind of impact on their whole experience and their whole learning outcomes.
Definitely. So the lectures have actually been online like for quite a while now. I know that my university, we had such a thing as lecture capture. So literally every lecture, well, majority I would say, were recorded, and the recording was posted like online, like I think couple of hours after the lecture. So actually one could ask a question: why should I go to the lecture hall if I have opportunity to watch the whole thing from my computer and basically work on within like as fast as I want? You can pause things, and you can like kind of make the whole experience your own rather than trying to fit in the system.
Exactly. So I think what we're saying is that lectures being online is actually a good thing. It's forcing the university system to innovate, and actually students find lectures pretty inefficient in the way they're delivered in real time in a big lecture theatre. So it is a good thing, everybody. Like, I think this is going to come out in the next year, that it frees up then a lot of time for students to have more kind of one-to-one teaching experience. I mean small groups, seminars, more lab time, more practical experience, because from feedback we know that these are the things that really help students learn. And a lot of the curriculum now is based on transferable skills. So this is either technical skills for your industry. So if you take a classic one like kind of biomedical science, that you're in the lab learning the skills and putting the theory into practice. But even in business, you're learning to present in groups, do kind of business analysis and data and statistical analysis, things like that become really, really vital skills for the business workplace. But a lecture theatre doesn't provide any of those parts. It just presents a case study or a topic, and and kind of brings that idea, that theory to life for you, which is really important. But it can be recorded, and then you can have that part in your own time.
And definitely. And I mean, I think that the whole digitalization of the world has actually played a big part of it, because information such as actually is a commodity these days. It's everywhere. Like, I mean, with all due respect to the courses and lectures and all the information, one could argue that internet is full of information.
Yes, yeah, I think we've covered this before, that really this is a generation that has access to the internet every day of their lives, apart from, really when they're in a lecture theatre or they're in an exam hall. So this system is quite archaic in that respect. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The information is there, but you still need usually a good teacher to help you understand that information, or guide you to the bits of value that you can read around and do more work on. So it's about finding a balance, and that's what we're talking about here. This new era of blended learning. So it's not all online, and it's not all on campus. It's blended together to say which bits are efficient and can be done online, and which bits do you need to be with other people to do, or in specific facilities to do. And that's really, really important. It's actually really exciting for universities, because it's going to force innovation. And I think all the academics will welcome it, and all the students will welcome it. It appears negative at the moment, because it's like you're losing something. But actually, they're getting rid of something that was actually not really the best use of time.
I was waiting to say that, actually, because I mean, it is positive, I would say, from every perspective. Long term, maybe not that much short term, because there's a lot of pain in the beginning. But I think you maybe can't say that, but I think the whole COVID situation, leaving outside all the horrible people losing their parents, grandparents, and so on, it has actually had a really positive impact on the digitalization. I think the university's next couple of years will take probably the step that otherwise would have taken maybe 10 years digitally.
We've said it before, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes. And
but this goes across the whole of society. Like, let's not kind of single out universities in this. Before we get to term in 4 or 5 months of universities, let's see what schools do. Let's see what flights do. Let's see what cinemas do. That's a lecture theatre, because all of these industries have got to adapt to an era where they've got to take your personal safety seriously and look to limit the spread of the virus. And so, universities are kind of lucky in the Northern Hemisphere that they're in this cycle, because the start date still allows them a lot of time to put in these measures to mitigate the risk to you, but maximize the teaching value.
Yeah. And going back to the what we started with, like that, all the news and topics about Cambridge and so on, I find it really positive that actually they are letting students know what their plans are, because I mean, within all of that kind of uncertainty, what all of us want is kind of reassurance, or that like it's going to be okay. So what they're basically doing is they're letting students know relatively early what their plans are. And I mean, high school students who are applying currently and deciding which universities they want to go, they actually get more information.
Yes, so there's a few bits of advice I want to give on this. So the reason universities are saying it now is because the UCAS deadline for making your firm and insurance choice is coming up soon in June. And they want students to have all the information to make a considered choice about which institution to choose. Now, actually, all the universities are kind of saying the same thing, that lectures will be online for at least the first term or a whole year, but campus is intending to open so that there will be teaching facilities. So there is very little difference in the response from all universities at the moment. So don't worry about that, about which ones are saying this and which ones are saying that. They're all actually coming out and saying the same thing: a blended mode of study, lectures online, trying to open campus for teaching and so on in a safe way. The only difference is that some of them have moved that start date back to give them as much time as possible. So there's that part. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. There'll be a lot of people thinking about deferring. Yeah. So there'll be a lot of people saying, well, this is too complicated. I'll wait a year and see what my options are then, see what the world looks like then, which is a really, really sensible response to this.
Yeah.
But for undergraduates, particularly where you have 3 or maybe 4 years of study or a kind of placement year as well, it could be difficult to put it back a whole year, that experience. And also, we would caution that some very popular universities might start, and we've heard this, that they might start to actually say you can't defer, or only a limited number of students can defer, because what's going to happen is you're going to bunch up this year's with next year's, and then it's not going to be this kind of, the social distancing is going to be even worse. Basically, it's you're going to have 2 cohorts, so it's going to mean that things are even more competitive to gain a place into university.
And it means that there is no cohort for 1 year.
Obviously there are students progressing year 2, 3, 4. So the universities, it's not like they won't have anybody there, but yeah, you're right. It would be a weird year if that was the pattern. And while it seems like a kind of obvious thing to say, oh, well, let's just defer, it actually might cause quite a lot of problems for many students and be unnecessary as well. Also, if it is a reduced year, for lots of students, from a learning perspective, it's really good. You know, smaller class sizes, smaller year groups. It just means that you get much more contact time. Like, that just makes sense to me. So some people will be seeing, if some defer, then it's a better opportunity for them this year, because they will get more of the experience just for themselves.
Yeah, and I think what many, I mean, just maybe an interesting fact that a lot of don't know is that actually the nudge for universities to tell what their plans are came from the government.
Yes, it did, and this is because there was a ruling to say that universities could charge full fees, even for online courses, entirely online courses, because the universities see the value of their experience is about their teaching, their curriculum, their delivery, their expertise. And so they're saying that they can put into place online tools that help deliver that. And it's the same cost to them, and it's the same teachers and so on. Now, we know that students don't see it like that. They want the whole experience. They want the social life. And you know, they don't want to feel like some of it is being moved online, and so it's a lesser experience, or it's cheaper somehow. So there is a disconnect between how students see it and how universities see it at the moment. But this is why they're kind of trying to clarify everything now. So students have got to kind of make their firm and insurance decisions, but that's only the next step. After that, they have to confirm their places with their grades. So we'll wait for the British students in August to get A-level results, or the other curriculums in the UK as well will come out across the summer. And even world qualifications, universities will be allowed to either confirm on moderated or predicted grades, or they're going to wait for national curriculums to produce results. And then even then, you can wait all the way up to September to really make a decision about whether you actually go to university. There is no obligation here. You know, until you enroll and take on the fees, there's no obligation at all. So there is still so much time for students. And I worry that people are being pressured into making a decision now, when everything could look very, very different in 4 months' time.
So in general, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, you want me to say that? I think people will find a way.
Always.
People will find a way. And what choice do we have as a world but to find a way through this? And everybody's got their own circumstances and their own futures to consider. But you know, universities are amazing places. I think it's a really exciting time. The kind of research and innovation in the field of health sciences, you know, looking for a vaccine, looking for testing solutions. Yeah, save the world. Like, the universities will save the world because they will come up with something. But also, every other part of the world has been affected in terms of society. So all of the kind of fields of academia are going to be needed more than ever. So there will, even though it feels like the economy is going to shrink and there will be a pressure on jobs, we're going to need people to solve all these problems long term, whether that's engineering solutions for buildings, whether that's a social research, whether that's innovations in teaching, all these things. Sorry, I'm kind of excited about it. You can see that.
No, that's totally cool. Yeah, I mean, great. I think awesome. A good episode, and like very relevant to this week. And I hope that kind of helped some of you who listened and gives you reassurance that it's going to be fine.
It's the way you laugh when you say it's going to be fine.
No, it is going to be fine. And I need to shout out my mom as well. She just liked our live stream.
Oh.
Anyway, should we wrap up?
Yeah, let's wrap up. I don't think we need to say any more. If people want advice, please message us. We do Instagram lives every Thursday with a really good engagement from the student body. We are a collection of professionals, but mainly students in the British education system, who are giving advice to others about how to apply and how to make a considered choice. So we are here to help. We're happy to help, and we work in partnership with universities. We're not doing this on our own. We are official partners with many universities, so that we can get you kind of the best advice and the best opportunities. So yeah, please message us and we'll get in touch with you and take it from there.
Cool. Have a wonderful Friday, everyone, and see you next week.
See you next week. Bye for now.